Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We can expect increasing clouds today with a high near 35 degrees. It'll be mostly clear tonight, going down to a low of 28. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high near 48. Showers likely Friday with a high near 45. A chance of showers Saturday with mostly cloudy skies and a high near 53. And a chance of showers Sunday with mostly cloudy skies and a high near 54 degrees. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh for 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
It is Teleforum. It is Wednesday. It is, in terms of topics, the doldrums between Thanksgiving and the New Year. And we are flat getting bailed out the first hour. I am going to talk about the Walmart beatdown. Always thought that's the easiest job in the world, asking somebody to see a receipt. Clearly, that's wrong. I'm going to talk about the hack of the hack of the computers of the waters with Aliquippa. But first, we're bailed out. I want to say thank you before we go any further. My guest the first hour, Clint Kurtyka. Did I say that right?
You said it correct. Eddie.
All right. I want to thank you for bailing us out for the first hour, because I would way rather talk about a book that you wrote than what I'm going to talk about the next 2 hours. Welcome to the program. You are a state trooper, but you wrote a book. How much free time did you have to write a book?
Not much.
Okay.
So basically, this book, when I had time, I would sit down and write. I could actually write this book when, my kids were running around, and I could write it, when I had some time by myself at night.
Did you use it as an excuse? Daddy's busy.
Yes.
Yes, you did. Okay. All right, good.
I did. It's funny because everybody asked me that question, how did you have time? It's like you sort of make time, but like when the words are coming naturally, it's kind of easy to write. The writing of it was kind of easy for me.
Really?
Yeah. The hardest part was probably formatting it, getting it ready, to be self-published and send it out. But as far as the writing of the story, it just came to me. And it's funny, when I wrote it, I took a direction, one way, and then as I got to the end of that page, it went a totally different direction.
Really?
Yeah. The book Dead Adrenaline, One Man's Journey to Survive Beaver County.
I got questions about the title too. Dead Adrenaline sounds like a thriller. Is it a thriller?
Well, if you're a fan of science fiction,
yes,
action, adventure, horror.
Yes. Okay. Horror.
Horror. It's a science fiction horror, definitely. It has twists, it has turns. You'll be on a roller coaster ride from beginning to end, and just when you think you're ready to get off, it takes you for another ride.
You cover 3 genres in one book.
Yeah, hard to do.
Did you mean to do that? Was that the plan?
I meant to do that. In fact, when I talk about the book, I always push that fact.
That's amazing. I studied English in school. That's amazing to me.
It's hard to do. However, if you're a fan of like Walking Dead, you'll like the horror part of it. The science fiction, if you like time travel, there's time travel in this book. Not to the point where you might say, well, some people get confused with time travel. It's enough that it takes you like, okay, this is fitting in perfect. The action adventure, there's a hero in this story.
Clint, people get confused with linear travel. You don't think they're going to get confused with deep thoughts like time travel?
Well, it's set up like this.
Okay.
There's 2 years in this book, 2086.
Cool.
And 2026, which is not too far from where we're at now, right?
All right. So we're about to be in the present and we're going to the future. Okay.
All right. So the book starts off in the future.
Okay.
And it bounces back to the past. And how does that happen? Well, in the future, the world is different. Mm-hmm. There's a place called the Hall of Knowledge where leaders and military leaders join to discuss problems that are happening in the world.
The deciders.
The deciders, basically,
okay.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. I like that. Maybe that'll be in my next book, The Deciders.
It's all yours.
Anyways, this book takes place in the year 2086. These leaders get together. They're discussing problems. There's this illness, this infection, this virus. Odd things are happening throughout the world, and they don't know where it's coming from. Well, there's a particular character in there by the name of Austin Maximilian.
That's a good main character name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he is a master of archaeological finds, and he found a journal that indicated what happened in the year 2026. And everything in this journal is occurring now in the year 2086. And
right,
he's
so
trying
he
to push
found
it.
a book from the past or a journal from the past that is laying out the current.
Yes.
That's the sci-fi part for sure.
The sci-fi part.
Yeah.
So in the course of trying to explain to the leaders of the world, hey, this is what's going on, he has them read the book, but he has somebody reading it to him as they follow along. And as the story starts to unfold, it rolls into the hero of the story who starts to tell the story. The guy that wrote the journal, the guy that actually lived out these events, the guy that was involved in all this graphic violence and illness and his search to save humanity. That's what this hero does. And as it unfolds, you start to, really get attached to this hero. You want him to live. You want him to survive. And he has a certain set of skills. He's a martial artist.
All right.
Okay, woo.
So
Most heroes are.
So exactly, one-on-one, he can whip somebody's butt. He can handle bigger problems also.
Right.
All right.
He fights on his feet, though, most of the time. Because in a zombie apocalypse, you don't want to go to the ground.
Well, sure. My grandmother taught me that. Are you kidding me?
You're going to get chomped on.
If you go to the... This sounds amazing. This reminds me of about 5 different authors all blended in, and I love this. I don't want to go any further until you tell people, where do they get their copy of Dead Adrenaline?
Well, you can buy it at Amazon.com.
Okay.
The Little Green Bookstore in Zillionople, PA, it's on the shelf there. There's actually a 20% discount going on this week for it. And also the Black Ship Grooming Company, which is a business that's mentioned in the book. You can actually get information on the book, and you can buy an actual set which has a shaving cream in it or a shaving soap.
Hold the label. I forgot to say this. This is being live streamed on Facebook. Make sure everybody sees it. It's shaving soap.
Yeah, it's called the Cleaning Witch.
Now, clearly, I don't shave as often as I should. Can I use it on other body parts?
You could use it wherever you want.
All right.
Yeah, you can use it on your head if you like.
Thank you very much.
Here's the thing. So you have the book and you have the Cleaning Witch. The Cleaning Witch is a character in there. Black Ship Grooming Company sells it. So you can get them as a kit, and actually has a brush with it too. Good for the holiday, good for groomsmen, good for bridesmaids.
That is so cool. Clint Kurtyka is my guest. We're talking about his book that he wrote. How long did it take to write it?
Probably about 1.5 years.
That's it?
Yeah, believe it or not. Now, once I got it done, then I had a format and stuff. But yeah, I would say about 1.5 years. The thing about this book is set in western Pennsylvania, Beaver County, right?
Beaver County.
Businesses.
Oh, Beaver County zombies?
Yes, they
nice.
can be. Yeah. The thing is in this book, we have businesses in there. I have Jerry Reed Recording Studio, which is now the Music Garden Studios. Al Torrance is the owner. The funny thing about that is, in the book, I use the businesses, and I got permission from the businesses, written permission, to use their logos. So the old wooden sign, Jerry Reed Recording Studio, that wooden sign's in the book, the picture of it. Also, if you researched enough or know about it, in 1982, the movie Creepshow, the soundtrack was created in that studio, which plays into the story. When this hero is going through his adventures, they talk about that. Also, Roseland Candy Castle's in it. We have the sign. Well, now that sign is real nostalgic because it no longer exists.
Exactly.
They put stone up there. Mary Jane's Pizza was in Monaca. I know she's going to eventually, hopefully, reopen. She moved. Very good pizza, best in the Beaver County. And Black Ship Grooming Company is in the book. So there's a lot of businesses in there. And the funny thing is this hero, like I mentioned, has martial art ability.
Maximilian.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, Maximilian.
Is he not the
He's not the
hero?
main character.
Okay.
Maximilian is a narrator in sorts in the beginning of the book. However,
he's like the guy with no neck at the beginning of Rocky Horror. He's leading you through it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, then it transforms where the hero's actually talking about. The hero is the man called Clint.
Nice.
Yes. And he is the hero. Like I mentioned, he has martial arts skills, weapons of choice, but there's something that he has that most heroes do not have. And you always read about they have the fighting ability, you know, they can do this, they can figure this out, figure that out. He has this ability to go to a place of calmness and nostalgia when graphic, violent things are occurring. You know, maybe zombies are tearing into somebody and having a meal.
Through time travel or
just in his mind?
In
he
his
goes
mind.
back to places from his childhood.
All right,
memories.
he can check out with the film in his head, kind of.
Check out.
All right.
Goes to movies he likes. He talks about the movies. He talks about it out loud. People think he's crazy, but you know he doesn't care. It's kind of like Dances with Wolves, where the Indians thought he was crazy.
Like, that guy's crazy.
Yeah. So you know, it gives him an advantage, and he has humor. You know, he finds comedy in no matter what the situation is.
And, well, zombie apocalypse humor?
Zombie apocalypse humor.
So dark.
Dark.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, Rosalind Candy Castle, correct? Right?
Yeah, they're
Rosalind,
building
right?
a castle.
There's nothing better than a chocolate-covered strawberry during the zombie apocalypse. You know, Advantage Chiropractor's another business in there. There's nothing better than getting your back adjusted when you're fighting zombies. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, so there's lots of businesses in there. Steve, who runs the Advantage Chiropractor, does a fantastic job.
That's the most brilliant co-marketing I've ever heard. And all of the, can you, I don't know if you were scheduled to hang out for a half hour or an hour. Can you hang out?
I can hang out.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I got more questions for you. I am talking to Clint Kurtyka. He wrote a book, Dead Adrenaline. Where'd the idea come from? Were you a sci-fi geek as a kid like some of us were?
Yes. So here's the thing. As a child, I could put together stories, basically things that could be movies. You know, Actually, me and my older brother were both into that to a certain extent. The thing is I always thought, wouldn't it be cool to make a movie? You know, it's tough to make a movie. It takes a lot of money, a lot of time, and I never went that direction. I went the direction of law enforcement. So it always was in the back of my head, always burning, because I wrote poems, I wrote other things, I wrote songs, and I thought, man, I got to sit down. I have this concept, and I need to write this book. And the name came to me first before I even laid any paper to pen or finger to keyboard. Dead Adrenaline. It just hit me, bam, and it took off. That's the closest thing for me, other than making a movie, is to write a book.
All right, I'm not going to ask you questions about your law enforcement career, which is currently ongoing. How does a kid that writes poetry and writes that and has movies going on in his head, how did he end up in law enforcement?
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things that I kind of like, I wouldn't say fell into it. I was thinking of different things I was going to do in my career. I actually wanted to go to school for special effects, FX. Movie,
like
monsters,
like,
that type of thing.
Like a Full Sail University kind of joint.
Yeah, come close to going to the Art Institute, a couple other places, Tom Savini, Monster Maker Place, different, you know, the old classic guys. And I just never did it, you know. I just, for whatever reason, I'm thinking I got to get something a little more stable, you know. I kind of like hesitated, I guess, in a sense. But I ended up, you know, going to CCBC, got my criminal justice degree, got my Act 120, got my police technology. I was a local for 7 years. Worked many different areas throughout here, Ambridge, Rochester, different places, other departments. And then I was 32. And I said, well, at one point I was too old to take the state police test because it was if you're older than 30. Well, they moved it to age 40, so I took it and I got on. And the rest is history. I'll have 22 years on at the end of this year.
22 as a trooper.
As a trooper. So like 29 total.
I don't want to be squeamy. I don't want to be gross about this. Did more gore become your reality writing after being a state trooper and that sadly being a part of it?
You know, that can help with the writing, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
The funny thing is this hero in this book is a law enforcement guy.
Okay.
You know, he's kind of like a gunslinger. He's kind of like the sheriff of the town. However, here's the thing. In the year 2026, there are no longer weapons of any kind, meaning no firearms. Not only do the public's not allowed to have them, the police aren't allowed to have them, believe it or not.
So what they're like bobbies in England? You carry a stick?
Well, it's even a little more futuristic than that, I guess. They actually carry a thing. It's basically something that can stop somebody's motion. It freezes them. Yeah, it's crazy. And the hero talks about it. And it doesn't always work, and there's a lot of law enforcement that didn't survive because of it.
So basically a freeze ray, if I'm attacking, you can freeze me and I'm frozen there, is what it's supposed to do.
Basically, if you can wrap your brain around it. And, I mean, at that point, they can make the arrest. The thing about it is there's only one military for the whole United States. There's no branches anymore. They have all the weapons, guns, and everything else. That's it. I mean, that's a whole nother book, the Second Amendment rights. But, we could get into that, but we're not. On the flip side of that, so this hero, he has to basically fight with his hands and his feet and his ability, but he has weapons of choice. So he has a few things that you'll see in this book that he pulls out that help him survive.
I have so many more questions. Please don't go anywhere. Clint Kurtyka is my guest. He's a state trooper. He also wrote a book. It's called, Would You Rather Be Known If You Show Up at a Party? Hi, this is Clint. Nice to meet you. Would you rather be introduced as Clint's a state trooper or Clint's an author?
At this point, Clint's an author.
Excellent answer. A lot less squeamishness if you open it with that way, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. More with the author, Clint Kurtyka, after news on Beaver County Radio.
Make the holiday special with a delicious box of chocolates from Roseland Candy Castle in New Brighton. For over 100 years, Roseland Candy has continued to demonstrate unmatched passion for chocolates. Roseland chocolates are made from scratch with only the finest and freshest ingredients. Roseland's has luscious cherry cordials, peanut butter meltaways, chocolate-covered pretzels, and so much more. Come visit the area's chocolate experts in New Brighton. Roseland's will ship their fresh homemade chocolates to your friends and family directly from their store. Order online at roselandcandy.com, and remember, Christmas just wouldn't be Christmas without Roseland Candy.
Roseland Candy Castle can ship your chocolates anywhere. Visit them online at roselandcandy.com. Celebrate the holidays with chocolates from Roseland Candy Castle, located on 5th Avenue in New Brighton.
Hey, how would you like to have a little extra cash to sock away this time of the year? Or how about Christmas cash for your stocking? This is Cindy Haladio from Friendly Federal Credit Union. Well, whether you wear socks or stockings, we will have you dancing on your tippy toes in that footwear with our holiday loan special. Borrow up to $3,000 for 30 months from just 3.99%. Available for a limited time with approved credit. You can also help others fill their Christmas stockings too, because donations are now being accepted at Friendly Federal Credit Union for the annual Women's Center of Beaver County campaign. It's time to sock away the Christmas cash and fill the stockings at your house and for others who need your help. Click friendlyfcu.org, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union. You got a friend.
95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with WBVP, WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com, invite you to tune in to Sounds of Faith. Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 until 9 for a mix of the best sacred music of all time. Sounds of Faith is brought to you by Crawford Tire and Beaver, the William Murphy Funeral Home, City Rescue Mission, MRS Physical Therapy, Circle of Friends, J&J Spratt Funeral Home, and Rome Monument and Inspirational Gifts. Sounds of Faith, uplifting, relaxing, and inspiring radio. Sunday mornings from 7 until 9 on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with WBVP, WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Tune into the Coach's Corner on Beaver County Radio every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. You can tune in by turning your radio dial to Beaver County Radio or by clicking the audio streaming apps on your phone or computer. You can also watch the video stream of the show on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. The Coach's Corner is being brought to you by Keystone Wellness Program, Patriot Home Care, the Grand Valley Inn, the Community College of Beaver County, the Beaver County Career and Technical Center, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, St. Barnabas Dental and Dr. Peter J. Montini, Goldberg, Persky and White, Friendly Federal Credit Union, the J&J Spratt Funeral Home, Geneva College, Carver Construction, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, Electric Garage Door Sales in Monaca, Beaver County Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Nissan, McGee Heating and Air Conditioning, Fisher's New Brighton Foodland, and Beaver County Radio.
The world is rushing to renewable energy. But why so fast? What will be the unintended consequences of abandoning fossil fuel-based power before we're ready? How will our quality of life be impacted? We are racing down this road, but a new narrative is evolving. Not so fast. Learn how coal contributes to our quality of life at thecoalhardtruth.com.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good morning. We can expect increasing clouds today with a high near 35 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after this look at news. A Beaver Falls woman has been accused of assaulting Walmart employees. Chippewa Township Police reportedly said Tamara Brooks beat up a 62-year-old woman employee who was working at the customer service desk and then proceeded to attack and threaten others around. Police responded to the Walmart around 12:15 p.m. Sunday. Investigators are saying Brooks assaulted 3 employees in total. The criminal complaint states the ordeal started at the customer service desk over whether Brooks paid for the items in her shopping cart. Investigators say Brooks was confronted by the 62-year-old employee, who Brooks proceeded to punch and stomp on the worker while she was on the floor. Brooks faces multiple charges, including aggravated assault, disorderly conduct, and harassment. She is also charged with intimidation of a witness or victim. A second criminal complaint was also filed against Brooks for calling back the store while in the hospital to threaten them more. The Sisters of St. Joseph are inviting all to an interfaith service Thursday at 6:30 to pray for peace and end to the conflict in the Middle East. The service will take place at the Mother House Chapel at 1020 West State Street in Baden. A Hopewell Elementary assistant principal has resigned. Gar Hutzler has served the district by working at Independence Elementary School, but resigned to take a position at the West Allegheny School District. According to Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano, also leaving is board member Dr. Matt Erickson, who served his last meeting as a board member Tuesday night. Lizzie Furich and Molly Shroom resigned from their lifeguard positions effective November 29th. The board entered into a PIAA cooperative sponsorship agreement for boys varsity tennis teams between the Hopewell and Ambridge area school districts. The board will meet again on Tuesday, December 5th at 7 p.m. Street sweeping in New Brighton comes to an end this week. Friday, December 1st is the last scheduled day of street sweeping and leaf collection in the New Brighton borough. Leaf collection will continue as needed and weather permitting into December. However, no parking tickets will be issued for failing to move vehicles during posted street sweeping hours. Street sweeping will resume on April 1st of 2024. A man imprisoned since 2001 for attacking educators and students in a Pennsylvania elementary school with a machete, wounding 14, has died in prison. Pennsylvania prison officials say William Stankiewicz died Monday. He was 78. The warden says Stankiewicz was found unresponsive in his cell. Stankiewicz attacked North Hopewell Winterstown Elementary School, about 75 miles west of Philadelphia. The wounded included 11 kindergarten students. Principal Norina Bensel suffered severe cuts and a broken arm while helping wrestle Stankiewicz to the ground. In court, he told the judge he was angry about his divorce from his Russian-born ex-wife and her allegations that he molested her daughters. Pennsylvania U.S. Senator John Fetterman introduced legislation to ensure long-term housing affordability. The Keep Affordable Housing in Forgotten Communities Act would encourage plans for long-term housing affordability as part of the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods Grant Program, ensuring that revitalizing efforts benefit longtime community members. Places where opportunity dried up as factories and plants closed, but where we are making investments to bring life back, said Senator Fetterman. The act would help grant recipients looking to redevelop community-serving infrastructure for new uses to consider the impact on housing. They would be able to evaluate the impact of the project on workforce housing in the neighborhood and use funds to plan for long-term affordability, create or preserve long-term affordable housing units, and support the creation or expansion of CLTs, community land trusts.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We can expect increasing clouds today with a high near 35 degrees. It'll be mostly clear tonight, going down to a low of 28. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high near 48. Showers likely Friday with a high near 45. A chance of showers Saturday with mostly cloudy skies and a high near 53. And a chance of showers Sunday with mostly cloudy skies and a high near 54 degrees. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh for 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum. 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
It is Teleforum, the first half hour. Here's when I know it's going to be okay. When you have a guest and you look up and go, oh, that went way, way too quick. And then you plead with them off the air to stay. Clint Kurtyka has agreed to stay for the second half of the program. Clint Kurtyka, I asked before, I said, would you introduced at a party, would you rather be introduced as a state trooper, which you are, or would you rather be introduced as an author, which you are? Talk to me not about the process. We've talked a little bit about the book, and it's what I'm reading when I go home. Okay?
Right.
Talk to me about the balance between having any full-time job and saying, I'm going to write a book.
Yeah, you have to utilize your time correctly. You can't sit there and spend too much time doing one thing and too much time doing another thing. Obviously, you have to go to work every week and get your 40-hour plus in and do what you got to do. When you have those little moments or time, you write stuff down. You might actually pull out your I do all this on my iPad, believe it or not. I don't even use a laptop. I do all my typing.
There's somebody that wanted to be a writer, and we talked about that before. You loved writing in school and poetry, so this has been a part of your DNA for a long time. It didn't weird you out that you're losing the tactile experience of pen on paper or fingers on a typewriter?
No, I think that has to go with, like, when I started out in police work, a lot of stuff was penned out.
Okay.
And then we switched over to typing, to computers. So now it's like, it's just the way of life. You kind of transition, and it's like, yeah, I could go back to using a pen, but it's so much easier to type it now.
All right, reset what the book is. It is a horror book. It is a science fiction book. And what was the third one I'm forgetting?
Action adventure.
Action adventure.
Yes.
It's got a superhero in it.
Yeah, he's a superhero of sorts.
And time travel.
Time travel. That's the thing that, here's the thing. When this book starts off, you're thinking, oh, what's this about? Mm-hmm. And it starts in a way where I always say the first chapter will grab you and you'll be like, I didn't expect this book to be this. And I always say the last chapter will blow your mind. When you read the last chapter, you're going to be like, whoa, when's the next book? It can't stop here,
So does it end with resolution of some sort, or is it only a cliffhanger?
Well, it has a little bit of a cliffhanger. However, it doesn't end like Lord of the Rings. They're looking up at the sunset or
where
whatever.
It's all cool.
Yeah, and then it just ends. It's like, what happened? The theater just went black. No, it actually ends with some finalization of things. Mm-hmm. But then that people have to regroup and take it to them. And there's another book in the works. I'm already into it pretty heavily.
That was my next question. You're talking about how does it end? I'm sure now, do you have the second book on paper, on quote unquote, started, or is it in your head right now because you're still working with this first book?
It's actually, I'm into it. I'm into it heavily. I've typed a lot of chapters already. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, because this story, it's kind of like it could have continued on in the first book, mm-hmm. but it would have been, I think 254 pages, 58,000 words is plenty.
58,000.
Yeah, I think that's plenty for people to read. It's. I always say it's an easy read. If you're a person who loves to read, there's people that read 3 books, in a day. There's people that are just manic readers. There's people that it'll take them a whole week to read this.
Are you a manic reader?
Not particularly.
No?
I like certain areas. I'll read certain books, but honestly, I enjoyed watching movies more. I just did. In this book here, maybe in the future it'll probably be an audio book. I think it would make a great movie. I could see this on Netflix.
It's got, you know what? I am so glad you phrased it like that. Clint Kurtyka is my guest. We're talking about his book, Dead Adrenaline. Back in the day, if 3 or 4 companies didn't want your piece of art, it didn't get made. You are in a world where there are so many outlets where that can happen. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, would it be a movie or would it be a miniseries, or how would you want it?
It would be good for like a short miniseries.
Okay.
I mean, each chapter could be an actual episode.
And it's got zombies.
Got zombies. When I talk about the science fiction, everybody, because I see, like, if you have a copy of this book or you look online, you can actually read previews about it. On the back of the book, there's a thing on there. It's called Read, Listen, Learn, Survive, Remember, and Never Forget. That kind of sums up the book. Mm-hmm. When you get done reading this book, you're going to be like, man, I should listen a little bit more. I should learn a little bit more in order to survive. And I should remember and never forget. Because here's the thing. I had a couple people read this book, and they said to me, you know what's scary about this book? If you not to the point where you're not going to go out your door anymore. But in another 10 to 15 years, something like this could happen in this world that we live in. Because I always say, before I wrote this book, I used to look around and I'd say, man, it almost looks like there's zombies walking amongst us already.
I can tell you some places nearby that there's zombies that walk every day, and I'm sure you see it in your other line of work.
Right, exactly. And, on the back of this book, it says elections brew treacherous consequences. So people go, what is this? Is this a political book? Well, there's political humor in it. Some people might not like the position, or some people might like the position of what the hero takes. But there is consequences from election that happens in the year 2024, which is actually coming up. Mm-hmm. And, things that are done cause the reactions clear up to the year 2026. And you read the book, you'll find out. And sometimes zombies don't come from the grave. Everybody thinks it's a zombie book. Well, nah, but yes, but maybe. The human species, they've become the prey, meaning this, obviously, if you're into zombies and you want people to eat people and all that.
Well, they don't want to, but they get hungry too.
Cannibalistic zombies always is a good thing to read, right? Yeah. Well, you're going to enjoy that part of this. But just when you had enough of that or you didn't have enough of it, it switches into, well, like I like to say, the science fiction gets really heavy,
Heavy as in bad things
all right,
happening?
So you got zombies running around, if you want to call them that.
It's not a party
adrenaline.
now, Clint. Zombies are here. It's not like it's a cotillion, as we said.
Right, but these zombies are a little different. Why do you think I called them dead adrenaline? So
okay, my sci-fi geek, I think I have an idea, but I'm not. I'm the kid in class that thinks he knows, but he ain't raising his hand. Right. Go ahead and explain it.
Well, dead adrenaline. So what if one day you woke up and you're like, I don't want to go to work today. I just want to ease in on my day and maybe, get a cup of coffee and chill and not do much. Well, you got to go to work. So this hero goes to work and he encounters a human that he sees. And this human, at first he's thinking, whoa, what is that? And all of a sudden he looks and he goes, that's not normal. This human's eyes are red, blood red. It's shaking. Its adrenaline is pumping.
Something's
it's ready
up.
to pounce. Mm-hmm. But it looks dead. Hence, dead adrenaline. So that's where the name come from. So you got something that looks dead, looks like it wouldn't do much, and then you find out it does a whole lot.
How much did the last 10 years in our world shape this book? What you saw, you have a perspective. You've got the perspective as an author. You've also got the perspective as a peace officer.
Right.
So 10 years ago, was this book in your head?
It probably was in some form or fashion.
Okay.
Yeah. There was bits and pieces of it, you kind of like catalog it in your head, And I always say this, this is like doing law enforcement. So, you see something bad, you see something horrific, you see something violent. I always tell people, take that, put it in a compartment, and forget about it. Don't look at it too long. Don't think about it too long, because that's where people go wrong, I believe. Because stuff builds up over time in your brain.
Sure.
And so, I take it, put it aside. Well, now I'm writing a book, and I'm utilizing things in my book in a way that it's actually more of an entertaining purpose, meaning I know it's not for real because it's writing that I put on a page but things could happen like that. And I believe in the future, you never know. One day you might be going to work and you'll be like, I don't feel like going to work today.
Every day, Clint.
And then you go to work and you see this human with these blood red eyes and it just doesn't look right. And you're like, oh no, it's dead adrenaline.
The difficult issues with law enforcement that you have to deal with, to bring them out in however way they come out in the book, was that therapeutic for you? You talk about things build up, and I agree with you. You put it somewhere, but after a while, the storage gets full in your head. To bring that stuff back in an entertainment form like that?
Yeah, I think there's probably a point of some kind of relief, I guess, when you put it on the page.
Okay.
And you think, oh, okay. Obviously, just like in movies, everything gets exaggerated, right?
Right.
To make it for entertainment purposes. I mean, you might take something that you may have seen and take it into a whole different direction, but the basis of it was formulated. It's inspired by that, So, yeah. That's a good point.
When did the idea for the second book start sprouting?
Well, it's funny. When I was writing the first book, I wrote the first chapter, and I already knew what the last chapter was going to be, which was odd, but I didn't know how I was going to get to the last chapter.
So it was, I got the beginning and the end. Now let's fill it in to where it makes sense going through.
So when I hit the last chapter, which I already knew by the time I was writing the first chapter, when I was writing that last chapter, I already knew where the first chapter was going to start in the book, because it was going to pick up where it left off.
And it wasn't extra terrifying to bring time travel in it, to bring a different thread, because you're already trying to tie thousands of threads from one to the end. Then you put linear time's no longer relevant in this part of it. It didn't make your head spin?
Well, I don't want to give anything away in the book, but the way it's written, when you read the first chapter, you'll be like, okay. Now we're from the year 2086 to the year 2026. Why is that? Oh, they found a journal, a book of existence, a book to save humanity in what they call the terminal realm, which happens to be Beaver County. And this is where this book is found.
And every business in Beaver County is represented in it.
Well, most businesses
a lot of them.
A lot of them are. A lot of them are, and there's a lot of businesses from the past that don't exist anymore that are mentioned. Remember Fisher's Big Wheel?
No.
That was a store. It sits right now where the YMCA sits in Rochester Township.
Right on the corner there.
Yeah, it was, in my opinion, as a kid, that was probably the best toy store in the land. But, it was like a Kmart.
Okay, better than the mall?
At the time, for me, like for us, I mean, I thought so. Yeah, definitely. You go in there and they had toys everywhere, but it's no longer in existence. But there's mentions of that. That might be one of the nostalgic moments the hero goes to survive.
So we're talking about horror. We're talking about sci-fi. And you're talking about Beaver County history. You're not talking about it, but it's all part of this book.
And here's the thing. If you're from Beaver County, you're going to love the landmarks. You're going to love the mentions of the businesses. You're going to love the nostalgic. Nostalgic's going to affect everybody, whether you're from Beaver County or not. But this book isn't just for people in Beaver County. People in Beaver County are going to love this book because it's talking about Beaver County. Yeah. But outside of Beaver County, if you live somewhere else, you'll enjoy the book. If you're a fan of science fiction, horror, action adventure, you're going to be on board with it from beginning to end. And who knows where this book will go? There may be many books after the book that I'm writing now. I don't know. I'll find out at the end of that last chapter.
Has it already popped into your head, or am I going to plant the seed? You will one day retire from being a state trooper just to write.
Yes. That's probably what my goal is, if
in
possible.
your future?
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, I could retire probably after this year, less than 3, I could go and retire. And that's something I will do. And this is something that I would like to continue with, this writing stuff. And hopefully people like what I write and they want to buy the books and it takes off. But we'll see.
How many rewrites did you do? How many times did you read the entire book with a highlighter and go, yeah, I need to?
Well, here's the thing. I did tons of those. And the funny thing is so a big help for this writing part of it, and I edited the book myself, and a buddy of mine, Grant Miller, edited it with me. But here's the thing. We didn't go crazy on the editing. You know, I did a lot of rewrites, and he was one of the first guys to ever read it because he's a writer himself, and he's wrote many books. And that was kind of like a good guidance for me. But what would happen is, in this book, there's another character. There's actually the person that starts to read the journal of life to all the people, let's just say for purposes of this conversation, the Hall of Knowledge. They're all in the Hall of Knowledge. This person reads this book to them, and the story starts to take place where it switches from her talking about the book to the hero, talking about what he's writing. And here's the thing. The book was written so people would understand and feel like they're actually there. Mm-hmm. They'll taste it. They'll smell it. They'll feel the energy in the room when they're standing there before something that may be dead, may be alive, but it's coming at them.
That's a great option. Maybe dead, maybe alive.
Yeah, a little of both, right?
Yeah.
You know, and by the time you figure out what it is, you know, it might be too late. But not to get off subject there, the editing, this character talks about this person, this hero, this man called Clint was writing this book under stressful situation. Wasn't able to sit there and focus on grammar, spelling, and all that good stuff. So if you're a master of writing, there's a saying that this hero always says, don't be a dillweed.
Don't be a dillweed.
Yes.
That is a great saying.
Yep, don't be a dillweed.
Shakespeare would have spent 4 or 5 pages trying to explain it. That's far more consolidated.
Right,
and when you're dealing with the future and bad and zombies, time is of the essence.
True. You know, and it's funny because this hero in the book actually talks out loud, in a sense, when the story's being told. He talks about when this stuff is going on, how he's documenting it, how he's documenting this journal, because in the future, people are going to need to know this. They're going to need to know what happened in the year 2026.
So he's doing it knowing that this is going to be necessary way on down the road. He's not doing it just for his own purposes.
Right. His objective is to solve the problem now in the present. But he knows if he doesn't solve it in the present, the future is going to have to know what happened in the past.
I do want to ask you, you said, and it says in the book, elections brew treacherous consequences.
Yes.
How much of that entered into the book because of the last 10 years, and how much of that entered into the book because of what you see in the future or what you wrote for the future?
Well, let's take one little subject matter in the book. Mm-hmm. As I said before, there's no firearms involved.
Well, unless you're the one group of people in charge of everything.
Yeah, the military in this case.
The government.
But even the law enforcement don't have weapons. And that was done by policy from the people that were leaders in the government, the president, and the people that got elected in the year 2024. But think about this. That person who was elected in the year 2024 had already ran 4 years already. So if you read the book, you'll kind of understand.
I think there's a lot more questions that I would like to pose to you than an hour affords us.
Yes.
And that makes me that much more interested. Clinton, I like that. You fancied it up there. Now, your author business card, it won't say Clint. It will say Clinton.
Yes,
okay.
Clinton. But yeah, that's my actual full name. But yeah, I always go by Clint.
How do people get the book? Tell them again, please.
You can get it at Amazon.com, the Little Green Bookstore. As I said, there's a sale going on there now in Zillionople, Pennsylvania. And also you can order the Cleaning Witch shaving soap and the book. Find ways to get it at Black Ship Grooming Company. A guy by the name of Kelly Hogan and his wife Kitty Hogan run that business. He's a good friend of mine, but it's really good product. Yes.
Is there anything I should have asked you or you wanted me to ask you that I didn't ask you?
I always like, we were talking about poetry, right?
Yes, we were.
And I was telling you about my buddy Grant Miller, who's a writer. Well, in this book, he gave me permission to put this poem in the book, and it sums up the book. It sums up what this hero is fighting.
Oh, let's do a poetry reading.
Yeah. The name of the poem is called Soul Surviving the Night, and it's written by Grant A. Miller. So here it goes. Bamboo bending under the fight, dark sky rolling, thunder is might, white light spread, its damage fed. Now darkness rules, the long night cruel.
Words are so cool.
Yes.
When somebody like that and somebody like you put them together in an interesting way. Will you come back when you do the second book?
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate it.
This was I didn't come to work today thinking, I'm going to get a little poetry reading in the day. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. The book is Dead Adrenaline, One Man's Journey to Survive Beaver County, PA. Clinton J. That's a good author name right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kurtyka has been my guest on Teleforum. The next 2 hours will not nearly be as entertaining as this previous hour.
Beaver Falls has won 4 straight. It is coming off their 6th WPIL football title in school history last week against Steel Valley. The Mighty Tigers now face their toughest test